Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to each of our witnesses for being here today. Ambassador Gold, let me begin with you. During this past October's Democratic debate, presidential candidate Bernie Sanders stated that, in his opinion, the U.S. should, quote, leverage military aid to Israel in order to manufacture changes to Israeli domestic policy, specifically as it relates to Gaza. He was saying we need to withhold funds for that. Do you believe that kind of action would be helpful?
Turn on your mic, please.
It's not my interest to jump into American domestic politics. But at the same time, one has to understand what is in Gaza. What's in Gaza today are people who are miserable, who have been taken over by one of the most hateful organizations on earth. It's called Hamas, and it has allies like Islamic Jihad and other Salafist groups. And putting leverage on Israel is mixing up the firemen with the fire, and will not produce a more stable outcome. I want to say that I'm very optimistic about the Middle East as a whole. And there are Arab states that see eye to eye with Israel about the need to extinguish hatred, the need to work together to build a better region. And we're seeing evidence for the first time of senior Arab diplomats who will go to Poland and visit Auschwitz. That's something that didn't happen before. So let's encourage that and not sort of harebrained schemes to put pressure on Israel by denying it military assistance because of a situation that it didn't create in the Gaza Strip.
I agree with you, and I think the bottom line of your answer is no, that it would not be helpful to withhold military aid to Israel.
Thank you for putting it succinctly. Yeah.
Madam Chair, I would ask unanimous request that the article about those comments be submitted to the record, please.
So granted.
Thank you very much. And by the way, really, I believe it's a quid pro quo. We'll provide this money provided Israel makes some changes, and it's interesting to me who that came from. It's really what the Democrat, many of my colleagues have been claiming is an impeachable offense in itself. Mr. Greenblatt, let me go to you. This past weekend, a member of this very committee tweeted an unsubstantiated claim that Israelis actually kidnapped and killed a 7-year-old Palestinian boy. You confronted this claim on Twitter as, quote, a vicious lie. You also called it blood libel. And, of course, the incident was proven false. The words themselves, I suppose, are not necessarily anti-Semitic, but indirectly they certainly are. They were unsubstantiated, they were reckless, they were troubling, they were proven false. Do you believe these comments are at all helpful?
Well, Mr. Congressman, thank you for the question. So the blood libel, the accusation that Jews are responsible for the murder of children, Gentile children, non-Jewish children, Christian or Muslim, has followed Jews for centuries across Europe and the Middle East. It's been used to demonize them. It's been used as the basis for persecution, for pogroms, for slaughter, literally going back almost 1,000 years to England in the medieval times. So as the head of the ADL, an organization that's been fighting anti-Semitism and all forms of hate for over 100 years, I will call out accusations like the blood libel whenever and wherever they happen. I think it's important to note that the use of the blood libel and these anti-Semitic slurs, we shouldn't use them as political or partisan weapons. I will call it out, whoever says it, whenever it happens, on the basis of the fact that hate is... We shouldn't use them as political or partisan weapons. I will call it out, whoever says it, whenever it happens, on the basis of the fact that hate is unacceptable, period. At a time when anti-Semitic incidents are on the rise, when I've spent a fair amount of energy paying respects to the victims of hate crimes in Pittsburgh, in San Diego, in New Jersey, in New York, we shouldn't tolerate when anyone from either side engages in that kind of behavior.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, again, I would ask to be added to the record unanimous consent, Mr. Greenblatt's reply to this accusation in an article that explains it. I thank you.
So